It's always about that. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of control over that. I think the one thing we knew last year was we were very old. I think there's a balance, in terms of age and experience and youth and trying to figure that out. I thought we had a group that was, I enjoyed coaching, a group that was fun to coach, a group that loved to play. We set out with positional size, shooting. I think that, we knew that we were going to rely on some young guys. And then we were going to lean heavily on Kylan and Trey White and Ben as guys who were veterans, even though they were new in our system, but a little older. Those guys were exceptional. At the end of the day, we were a very, very young team, one of the youngest in the tournament. And, you get a bunch of guys playing in their first or second or third NCAA tournament game, and against a guy like Lamont Butler who's got 13. Or 12, I love this team. I told them in the locker room post game, I had as much fun coaching this team as I've had any team. Their ceiling was high. It was a hard year because of all the adversity we went through, but it's not gonna dampen my belief in what this team could achieve. And we got stunned a little bit with all the sickness and injuries, but man, it was a blast. It was really fun to coach this group.
Brad, Kentucky scored on, I think, 14 of their first 17 possessions in the second half. What happened there?
Turnovers. We opened the half and turnovers. I mean, we got the game in a great place, and it was just called the quick timeout. I felt like Kentucky would always let us back in the game. It's what they do. I felt like we had ample opportunities, so I didn't want to burn all my timeouts. You want to save them, towards the end. But again, you can't give a team 26 points off turnovers. They turned it over 5, and you just can't do that in this type of game and expect to win.
Coach, you talked last week in Indianapolis. You love seeing the emotion of guys when it's all over. You talked about that with Sanford after the Iowa game. Will Riley, you needed to be consoled after the game. Mark Pope went up to him, some of the guys on your bench. Can you just talk about the emotion that guys do feel in this moment and what that makes you feel as well?
Yeah, something comes to an end. And when you're invested in it, and our whole locker room was that way. You got guys that you got coaches. I got the best staff in the country. We got coaches crying. Something comes to an end. You realize we spend way more time with them than we do our families, and so you build a bond, you build a connection. We're a family. Those guys. And every player that's ever played for me is part of our family. They've got my number. They can call me now. They can call me 20 years from now. I coach one of my former players' sons. That's what this thing's about. You guys make it about all the wins and losses. 25 years from now, some of those kids, I hope I'm still alive, are going to pick up the phone and call me and need me. And I am there for them. And that's what the relationships, and that's why it hurts. And that's... I couldn't be happier to see that, because that means I know I've connected in the right way with a group of guys that I loved coaching and feel great about giving my time and my energy and my focus to them to help them try to achieve something. To me, that's what this is all about. And unfortunately, we came out on the wrong side today, but man, I'll have nothing but positive things about this season and this group of guys, and that's part of it.
Brad, you mentioned the shooting with respect to roster construction, and I know that all season you kept thinking the shooting was going to come along, but never really did from distance. Any thoughts now the season's over about what was the struggle with shooting?
I'll figure that out later. I don't know, because if you ever watched us in pregame warm-ups, we didn't miss. Shooting was come and go. I think some of the challenges mid-season were newness and freshmen, and early and then midseason without Tommy. There's a different aspect of him on the court, but we'll figure that out and try to get it solved.
Hey, Brad, John Huang, NOLA Media. I know you had film on Kentucky center Amari Williams, but a lot of other coaches have said that when they see him in person, he's just a lot bigger, a lot more mobile. What does he do for their team, and how far do you think Kentucky can advance?
Oh, I think as far as Lamont wants to take him, I think they're really good. I think they're old, they're experienced. I think Lamont gives them leadership. I think he's very good. We saw Amari as a freshman, when he was at LaSalle. So there wasn't any shock there. He's just 5 years older and more mature, but he's got great length and size. He's a very unselfish player, willing passer. So he allows Brea and Ortega and those guys to cut and move, and he affects the game. He impacts it. There's no doubt. Very good player, and I think they can beat anybody.
Brad, Sam Bander, Sporting News. Just one for me over here. Just curious. Obviously, his season ended a little bit shorter than what you wanted. You obviously made it to the Elite Eight last year. Can you just kind of talk about the evolution of the last few years and where do you kind of see this team heading with roster construction kind of being a little bit different next season and moving forward?
Yeah, let me say this when it comes to teams. I came here to win a national championship, okay? And I think the one thing that will never change with me is that, okay? We're trying to do that. But to do that, you have to have a great program. And I count COVID, unlike everybody else who doesn't, because we got a banner that should be hanging in our gym that we got screwed out of in that deal. And then we've got 6 straight NCAA tournaments. To me, that's about building a program of consistency, of culture. And I think the one thing that I take my work ethic is to build a great program and to just keep getting here. Gives you a chance. And are we disappointed? Absolutely, because my goal is nothing more than win a championship. If you hear me ever say anything like that, other than that, then it's probably time for me to hang it up. But our program is in great shape. We've got great leadership. We've got great facilities. We've got the ability to keep getting players. We sell out every night. We've got the best fan base out there. We came up short today, but we'll be back. We're not going anywhere.
These 3 here, and then we'll wrap it up. Go ahead.
Derek Piper, 24/7 Sports. Brad, what is your hope as far as a carryover from this experience for the guys that could come back? Obviously, KJ and Will have decisions to make, and everybody does nowadays. But just ideally, what do you hope that this will then propel itself into? Yeah,
Experience, carryover. It's one of the challenges of getting older, is having carryover in your program. That's. The young man from Iowa, he spent 4 years there. I hope that that's the case with certain guys. I think, we'll have conversations with guys and see where it's at. It's a complicated process in today's world. The portal opens tomorrow, a lot of rest. And, and then you've got guys that are good enough for the NBA, and they'll have decisions to make. And, it's a never-ending process. We've been making calls and checking the portal on a daily basis since we've been here. So, for the grads. But we'll hope there's a nice group back, and we can build on this and try to win a national championship.
2 more. Go ahead.
Brian T., Chicago State of Mind. Brad, you talked about the adversity of the season. Just want to get your thoughts on just looking back at the season as a whole. What's been the thing that's made you the most proud?
Yeah, they never quit. We hit some speed bumps now, and if you've got a little bit of a shaky locker room with character, we could have gone south pretty easy. And my 38 years, I haven't seen anything like I saw this year. I hope I don't see it for another 38 because it was challenging. just the ability to practice some days. They hung in, man. This group, that's why I love them. This group will always have a special place in my heart because of their resilience, their toughness, their love for the game. I keep saying that all the time. This group loves to play basketball, and they're all good friends, and that's fun to be a part of.
Last one.
Paul Banks, The Sportsman, USA Today. Brad, you just made it very clear what the standard is, or at least the goal, national championship. Now, some of the fans may, they look at where this program was before you took it over and how you elevated it. And there could be people who follow this program who don't have that same standard. Like, what would be your message to them to make them believe that, national championship should be, the goal?
Well, if they haven't heard me say that before, then they're probably not our fans, because I've said it since the day I got here, my introductory press conference, and I'm going to keep saying that. And I think we've built something that is can stand the test of time. I think our program, our fans, I've said it a lot. So if they're not on board now, then they're I don't know, they're somebody else's fans. They're not ours. But we're playing a national schedule every year. We're competing at the highest levels. We're producing really good players who are really good people. I think there's a lot that our fans can be really, really proud of. And we're going to come back next year with a group of guys that we're going to have the same goals and ambitions.